Hey guys, welcome to Taste of Recovery, the podcast,
where we explore one's honest journey of surrender, willingness, acceptance, and courage.
I'm Alecia Spendlove.
And I'm Eden Sassoon.
Please join us every week for authentic and raw conversations with inspiring people in recovery.
We invite you and our guests to get real because the disease of addiction does not discriminate.
Oh, no, it doesn't. And we go through so many emotions. We laugh, we cry, we pray.
So get ready for a taste of recovery.
I was literally petrified to not have enough to drink. Like I lived my life in fear of running out.
Let's welcome Charles to the show today.
Enjoy their taste of recovery.
The thing I like about recovery is in terms of the program that we belong to, there are no rules in it. So it's hard to do something with no rules and very little structure. It's hard to do that wrong. That's hard to do wrong. However,
that was powerful.
I will, to take your word, I will honor the path that I've taken. And I'm not ashamed of the path that I've taken. But I have come up immensely short of my own expectations of myself and my own, the kind of man that I have turned into and have, I didn't turn into this guy overnight. That's that might be my biggest message, right? When people say, what's your message? Like for me, my message is really essentially drenched in the idea that and I've said this to you, I think you both have heard me say this probably, that when I was young, I was fucking trouble with a capital T, right? Just first day of first grade in the corner, you don't get to be you're disruptive. You go over there so we can do what we want to do because you can't be here from birth. That's kind of my thing. And I never knew why. I was always I don't know why I did that. I have no idea why I am fucking the way I am. And it was confounding to me. And the idea for me, and so my battle cry was, I'm going to make a 180. I'm going to turn over a new leaf, Mom. I'm going to officer, whatever, whoever I was talking to, I'm going to get it together. I swear. And I meant it from the bottom of my heart, but I couldn't. Because I kept trying to turn or make a 180, turn all the way around. I kept trying to do it, trying to be different all at once, which I have found is impossible. And the way I frame it now is when you think of an oil tanker or an airplane, right? When you're on course, I didn't turn 180 degrees around. I changed by 1 degree. And it was from here to there. And so the change was so minuscule, but when you add to that 16 years, right? I've been taking that new course for 16 years. When people say time doesn't matter, I say, why don't you get some before you talk like that? That's bullshit. Time does matter. It's very important. It's just not the only thing that matters. That's what I think people are trying to get at is you can't only put your hands on your hips and say, I've got recovery because you've been sober for X amount of years. That's not that. You can't hang your hat on just that.
You better be working the program.
Goddamn right.
Right.
Yeah. But if I changed for real and permanently 1 degree over time, if I change 1 degree, that's not that big a deal. In 5 feet or in 500 yards, you can still see me. We're only a few feet away from each other if you're walking here and I'm walking there. But in 16 miles, you're not going to be able to see me. I'm going to be somewhere you can't see because I'm so far away from who I was from the old path. And so, I've made terrible mistakes deep into my recovery. I was sleeping with someone's wife, when I had 8 years sober. I was sleeping with her because she was mine first and she's going to leave him. And we've been in love forever and blah, blah. It's no. So I made all the excuses and they all made sense to me. They really did. Those things weren't untrue. But but now today, what I say is, I was sleeping with someone else's wife when I had 8 years sober. How about them apples? You know what I mean? Like, I'm imperfect. And, you know, I wouldn't do that today, certainly. So again, I'm not mad at myself for being imperfect, but, and do I think I work a strong program? You're goddamn right I do. I work really hard at that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I take it, it's the most serious thing in my life. You know, it's funny is this is kind of new for me, really. This is sort of new information, I think, and I'm kind of working through it. But, you know, I'm a pretty gregarious person. Yeah. Like I'm very, like I'm social and I like to talk to people and be involved. And I'm kind of loud. I'm loud because I was needed to be seen when I was young and no one would pay attention. So that's why I was trouble with a capital T, is because it was like, look at me, motherfucker. You know what I mean? It was just like, I needed somebody, someone to acknowledge my existence. But what I've discovered is that I'm a bit of an introvert also. And I didn't know that I could be two of those things at once. You know what I mean? And like, I thought that they were mutually exclusive, and they are not. You know, beautiful thing about mental health these days is people are being more open about it, and more kind of things are coming to light, and people are allowed to, you know, sort of talk about themselves in that way. And I really, that shit really resonated with me.
I relate to that. I relate to that need to be seen.
Yes.
To be liked. Oh my gosh. And I'm also an introvert. I'm very much out there and social, but I'm very much an introvert, and I need to leave the party early. I always have, you know? Oh.
Because the truth is, right? This is a question. Because the truth is, Charles, that the idea that we take it one day at a time, like, this is forever, right?
My goal is forever.
Forever.
My goal, I mean, I can only do it a day at a time, but that is my goal. Like, I have a long-term goal with my sobriety, and that's to be sober till I
take
go.
Your last breath.
Yeah.
And so the work we do, I guess my question was that, like, that's it. We learn every day. Like, this is what we do every day. Welcome to life.
Right. Well,
sometimes,
isn't that what we weren't doing? See, that's the difference, is when I was drinking, I wasn't doing that. I mean, I wasn't like, I did some terrible things, and I hurt people, and I hurt myself, and that's all true. But I'm not like a piece of garbage person. I grew, and I was a better drunk at 35 than I was at 25. You know what I mean? I did yoga and like tried to be good to my girlfriends, and you know what I mean? Like, I tried.
Not cheat on them as many times.
Well, no, I cheated on every girlfriend I ever had.
Yeah.
You know, I did not have enough self-esteem to ward off a woman that said, "You're cute." I could not. I was powerless against, "You're cute. You're cooler than my husband. God, what a great drummer." You know, I was either a bartender or a drummer. So like, if I got the booze, everybody wants to fucking bang the bartender because they're the ones with all the power. You know what I mean? And then being a rock and roller or a jazz musician, I've been both, you know.
And your big personality.
Yeah, like that stuff, you know what I mean? I don't think I'm terrible to look at. No. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, you know, I'm not handsome. Shrek. Handsome. Thank you.
Well, you're very handsome. We don't want to like offend your wife or anything, but you're very handsome.
She thinks so too.
Okay,
good.
great.
She says it to me like a couple times a week at least.
Aww.
You know.
So tell us a little bit about that. Like, when you were drinking, like what were you like with?
I know you have some funnies.
Oh, fucking, I'll tell you, it's simple. I was loud. Like, I'm the same exact me, but just imagine it on 10. Yeah, just like I remember when I think I was saying, like, right before I got sober, I was on the Ozfest tour of 2007 Ozfest. I was with the band, and the singer in the band was sober. And I had been sober when I was younger. So I kind of had that, like, yeah, I was sober, man. I was sober 5 years, but that shit just ain't for me. You know what I mean? And he was like, okay, buddy, you know, and I remember, like, and he's actually the person that I called when I needed to get sober. Like, when I got sober this time, I called him. I was like, I'm afraid to drink. I was always afraid not to drink. Like, that's how it was for me. Like, I was literally petrified to not have enough to drink. Like, I lived my life in fear of running out of booze. And it was when I got scared to drink. And I was like, talk about, we stood at the turning point, right? Like that. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm afraid of both things. And that was too much for me. And so I called him, and to his credit, he rushed he came right literally to where I was, sat with me and read how it works. And I cried my little eyes out. He goes, and I wanted him to tell me what I wanted for him to do was be like, listen, dude, take it from an alcoholic. You're just a party animal, bro. Just stop thinking about it and just enjoy yourself because you rule. That's what I wanted. I wanted him to let me off the hook because I was so conscious of what I was doing. And I wanted him to be like, listen, you're fine, dude. Just enjoy it.
We have those friends that do let us off the hook.
Yes.
Those are our good friends.
Wait, are those called friends?
Enablers, people who think they're doing
like,
the best.
Wait, is that my friend?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what he said was, you're 35 and you're crying to me about your drinking. And that one really, that kind of like, I couldn't really get out from under that one.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so the reason I bring him up is because he told me, cause he had known me after, for a couple of years into my sobriety, we were still kind of, saw each other quite a bit, And and at some point it came up or whatever. And he goes, man, you're the same as you were before. You're just not as loud,
that's how I feel too.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like a kid again. I feel better, so much better, right?
Yeah.
We can be fun. We're fun. Don't you think?
I'm fucking fun. I'm a good time.
Yeah.
But is it? Yes. I think we're all fun most of the time. But you must be wiser.
Of course. Yeah, of course. You can't.
So I feel like on this journey that we're on, how do we have to grow, right? Grow or die, God. I didn't say that lightly. Grow or die. God. I'm hoping that one day at a time, I just went to the future and I don't like to go there. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to be quiet.
No, what were you going to say?
What were you going to say?
Yeah,
it's okay.
Say what you were going to say.
I just one day at a time, I really want to, absorb. I don't know where that word's coming from. Surrender and accept this growth, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be, I've been doing a lot of Joe Dispenza, and we do the morning meditation. The morning meditation, he's like, this is a new day. That's how he talks in his meditation. This is a new day. I'm like, okay. It's like, and what do you want to let go of? And I'm breathing through it. And all I can see is this girl back there, the last 50 years of my life. And then what does that look like to you? And I'm like, sad, depressed, lonely. I'm like, okay, so I want to let go of sad, depressed, lonely, right? And then he wants you to be present. So, and I'm like, oh, but the future causes me anxiety. Okay. So right there, I have a couple answers, right? I don't want to be sad, depressed, and lonely, which is the past. And I don't want to go into the future, which causes anxiety. Dun, da, da, da. What does that leave me with? Right now. And then I'm like, well, shit. What does that look like? What do I want? And this is when I would usually call Charles and be like, can we do some work, please?
But even that is labeling your past as that's not entirely accurate.
Yeah, but it's really hard to find those moments when we're like, do you remember being happy? And I'm like, oh.
You listen.
No, I promise you not. I shit you not. And I would tell you, yes, there are few and far happy moments than all the sadness, depression, and loneliness. And I'm not kidding. And it's not like, woe is me, poor me. Trust me, I want to be happy every day, which I know isn't, technically I'm trying to find the baseline, the happy medium through and through.
That's the other thing is that there is no, and that's sort of what I was driving at. Is to label, to deal in absolutes that is in and of itself, I think, a place and I used to, right?
Right.
You said you have wisdom, right? That's what you said. And it's well, I guess the wisdom for me today comes from undoing that kind of thinking, right?
That's
it says in our, in our literature, in the literature that I read in my recovery, it says,
me too.
It says It says we have to let go of old ideas. And for me, an old idea is like dealing in absolutes. That's an old idea. It wasn't always bad. It's not always good now. Sometimes being in the past is the answer. Sometimes being in the future is the answer. Like there's something cute about like what is it? You know, like what it was in the fucking Kung Fu Panda. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Kung Fu
Yeah.
Panda.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like me too. Like, and it fucking rocked my world when he was like, you know, yesterday's a history and tomorrow's a mystery. And that's why today's a present and it's a gift. And it all kind of just fit. And I went, oh my God. And I blew my mind, you know, but the thing, and so like, that's real cute, but that doesn't make it true. You know, and that's why when people kind of see bumper sticker stuff, like I get like, look, I drank I was sober 5 years and a lot of things took me away from recovery. But one of the key ideas that took me away from recovery was I don't have a drinking problem. I have a thinking problem. And people say that shit all the time. And it's bullshit. If I didn't have a drinking problem, I wouldn't need recovery. I'd be in therapy. I have a drinking problem. When I put alcohol in my body, I act differently and I cannot put it down. That's a problem. Now, I understand what people are driving at, right? It's like, I've put the drink down.
Now what?
I still suffer from delusional thinking and I still have to grow. You know, I get it. But to me, when I was new and I heard people say, I don't have a drinking problem. I have a thinking problem. I was just like, well, at a certain point, I thought that my thinking had evolved beyond the point of like drinking can't harm me. I've changed my mind. So like I could have a drink because I don't feel that way I used to feel.
That's how I relapsed.
So like so like those cutesy things that people say, I just like a more complete, I want to hear a more complete version of what you mean by that. And I'm not a person that thinks that all of my past was bad and terrible. And I'm not foolish enough today to think that like the baseline is happiness. Happiness is something that I get to be. Sad is something that I get to be. My mother, who was sober a long time before she died, she used to say, and I would want to fucking punch her. I used to be so mad when she would say this. She'd be like, Charles, if life was good all the time, how would you know? And I'd be like, 'cause you'd know, you know what I mean? I'm so mad. But now I get it. It's like, oh, you literally cannot have light without dark. It is impossible to have one without the other.
I was depressed this morning.
Yeah.
You know?
Ditto.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm so much happier and calm and at peace.
What happened? What brought that on for you today? Like, what was the thing that pulled you from there to here? Was it a thing or did it just happen?
You know, it was just, I flew in late last night. I was really tired. I went to the recovery center where Eden works. I did a sound bath. It was great. I did a meditation, but I was just in a funk. I went home and I took a nap and I really had to do that contrary action because I didn't fix my hair. As you can see, I decided to wear a hat today because I was like, thank you. You know, just every day isn't, you know, giggles and roses. Is that a saying? I don't know, but
it is now.
Yeah. Giggles and roses. Every day isn't that. And it's okay. You know, and I have the tools now to look at how I'm feeling and not get caught up in how I'm feeling. Yeah. And here I am.
Here's the thing for me. It's impossible for it to be giggles and roses every day. There's not even a made up story that doesn't have somebody with like on a day where there's no giggles. You know what I mean? So how on earth would I expect it for me? So like I said, happy is something I get to be when it comes. And sad is something I get to be when it comes. And I have days where I'm depressed and I have days where I find it tough to do anything. And I have days where I'm like, where everything's coming up, Charles. You know what I mean? Like, and what I was interested in is like, what was you were sad this morning or depressed this morning, like, did you feel or think that there was a thing that happened or a series of things? Like, was it the self-care? Did that turn your day around? Was it the letting go of I should have my hair together? Like, what was the thing or things that like kind of turned the tide for you?
You know what? I think what turns it around for me is I just look at my blessings.
Okay.
Yeah. I look at my blessings.
Yeah.
I get to breathe.
Right.
I get to be here.
Yeah.
And just because I'm your friend and I love you, you actually woke up and I could tell you were a little off because I didn't hear from you. I checked in with you. I knew you were coming and I knew you didn't necessarily want to come, but she came to the recovery center with all of her sound bowls and her gong and her ocean thing. And she was of service to 15 or 18 clients. And I could see the shift in you. So being of service got you outside of yourself and your heart was very present.
That did get me outside of myself.
So there was like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like
I had the opportunity to meditate with others and lead them through a meditation.
And then, sorry, but afterwards, and I'm not speaking for you, I'm giving my perspective. Afterwards, we talked, the three of us, you, Pam, and I, and you was open, honest, and willing to see another side of it, said how you were feeling, and then even went as far as like, you know what, maybe I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I'll see you at the studio.
Huh.
So she was in her recovery and didn't immediately go, I'm going home, not going to the studio in your disease. I'm giving you credit because.
Thank you. I'm taking it.
Yeah. It was beautiful to watch. Like I learned from her experience today. Right. Cause I wake up depressed, at times and I have to pray and I have to meditate and I have to give it over and I have to show up to the meditation.
What works for you? Like, what is it for you?
Today, I didn't stay at home today I'm going to read all my 4 readings and I'm going to do this. And it was breaking the construct of the 4 walls. Is that the right word? And usually I go straight from my morning on Mondays to recovery center. I said, why? Get to your meeting, listen to the speaker, leave, get to the recovery center. I was like, ding, 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 ding. And it worked. Like, I just get so set in my ways at that certain time, at the moment, and this is how it works. And if it's not like this, it's not going to be better. And I'm like, hold on. This is just putting more, that I'm chained in my own life, which is torture, to break it and be free. And like, so if I change my plan a little bit, still get everything I want to get done, give more to others, maybe this energy will shift, right? And by talking, going and talking and being honest and sharing and just, you know what it is? Thank you. I said all that to say this. Like, I got to just be me and say, this is how I'm feeling. This is where I'm at. This is what I can give. And we're 5 of us sitting in a circle in recovery together. I'm no different or better, or I'm not your teacher or your guru.
Yeah.
So let's do this. And we did it.
So would you say what led you out of that place to another place, whether it's from a good place to a bad place or a bad place to a good place or indifferent to whatever, like, would you say that your experience, like living another day and having a new experience, has made you wiser just because you were present to what was happening?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a big circle back to the thing when you were like, you're wise. It's like, no, I've just been awake for 16 years. That's all. You know what I mean? That's all I'm doing. It's just like I'm a lighthouse with my fucking bulb on full. You know what I mean? Like I say, the lighthouse doesn't come to the boat. It stands tall with its bright light on, and then the boat comes to it to find safety. And so the boat is the one doing the work, not the lighthouse. The lighthouse's job is very easy, really. Just be bright. You know what I mean? And I find it difficult to not be with the gifts that I've been given, the things that I have, and I mean internally. Like, fuck the house and the wife and the shit that I have that is cool. I have a lot of cool shit, and shit that I never thought I'd have, but that I do, but I mean the internal stuff. The ability to Salma Hayek could walk in here right now with a briefcase of 10 million and be like, just let me look at it and I'll give you the money. And I'll be like, nope. You cannot. Like, on her best day, couldn't get me out of this chair. You know what I mean? And it's like,
that's integrity.
Yeah. Right. And I used to sleep with what they would call the slow buffalo.
I love you
My
so
friends
much.
would, you know what I mean? Just the one that couldn't get away. That's the one I'd end up with. You know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, it's, you know, it's like the internal stuff of like having enough self-esteem that I don't need, like my cup is full.
Right.
How
do you connect to that self-esteem every day?
Well, for the easy answer is by doing esteemable things. Like that's how I've gained self-esteem by being, by becoming the man that I wished that I was and that I used to tell you that I was. Cause I would spin a yarn about who Charles was. And it wasn't untrue. It was true in theory and not in practice. That's really what the truth about me is. I would tell you who I was in theory. Like, I'm the type of guy who would blank, 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 you know, not look at Salma Hayek for $1 million, you know, like that's who I would tell you I was. But the minute you got your back turned and someone else says, gosh, you're handsome, pants off.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, just like I would steal your money, you know what I mean? And help you look for it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and not like a thief, not like a con man thief, but just like, I feel entitled to what isn't mine. I don't feel entitled to what's not mine anymore. I can't even steal from fucking Rite Aid without going back and paying for it the next day. Should see the look on my wife's face when it's like, you know, like, hey, can you ring up this roll of fucking paper towels, but you just put it over there. Like I took one yesterday. Yeah, I took one yesterday and didn't pay for it. So I just want you to just ring it up and then put it back. You know what I mean? Or I'll even put it back, you know? And my wife goes just like, she rolls her eyes like, cause the people are like, what is wrong with you that you like? And I'm just like, that's kind of who I am now.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm honest. It's because I don't feel entitled to what isn't mine.
Yeah. You're quirky and you're great.
You're very, very nice.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but no, that's
quirky. I'll go with.
I like it. I like it.
The work I know the type of work firsthandedly that you do with others. Some of it, right? So just so everyone's aware, just technically you have a sponsor and you so we worked together for a little while and, I made a few decisions that I'm not an NA because I didn't do drugs, but you could do the AA work or the NA work. And I chose right now to do the NA work because the thoroughness was something that I felt like I needed to dig up all this shit to get it out and go through it. And now we've been talking some like, did you really need to do all that? And you know, there's, two sides to every story, but I'm doing it. And so, that being said, the work that you do with others in AA is right on track. Like I saw you eye to eye, met you halfway, and it's so appreciative. I guess share with those listening, you know, not from the sponsor perspective, but from, I guess, the hope perspective or what, you know, when you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed at night, just a little bit of tool, something that someone can grasp onto, you know, that's outside of this conversation. Well,
I mean, it's in the book is what it is.
But if they haven't gotten to the book yet, so, you know, like.
If they haven't gotten to the book, get to the book. Our fellowship is predicated on the idea that one person, predicated on the idea of me too. Yeah. It's the original thing that where like recovery began when someone said, oh yeah, me too. It says in the book, you know, we meet for we meet for this reason and this reason, and also for the new person to come and share their problems. But the truth of the matter is between the me too and the we-ness of recovery, right? And the steps laid out the way they are in the book. Like someone tried to send a new person I'm sponsoring a 4th step worksheet. And I said, throw that fucking thing in the trash. We're doing this out of the book. We don't need a worksheet. We need the book. The book will tell us exactly what to do. And just like I did with you, we read it and I said to you as we were doing it, I said, I'm going to show you this line here because you're going to have to show someone else this line here. And this matters. And when you're showing someone else, you will see that they are not taking your opinion of this. They are taking the text as it is written. You know, we put pen to paper and whatever, you know what I mean? And like, you know, people are like, can I put myself on my fourth step? No, because your resentment at yourself is remorse. That is a different thing. Remorse is a different animal. So we don't put ourselves on our fourth step because of that, because it says that. Now, if someone wants to challenge me on that idea because the remorse is some form of resentment, I will listen to you and we will talk about that. And maybe I will have an even better understanding of the book the next time I read it. I remember one time being at my main meeting and we were reading the Working with Others, you know, which is like effectively a big portion of what our 12th step is, right? Is working with new people, helping someone else get sober, sending the elevator back down to pick somebody else up. And it says in very clear language about 13 times, it says, don't tell anybody what to do. Just, you know, if they need a drink, give them a drink. You know what I mean? Like, don't fill their head with a bunch of religious stuff. It says all these things. And it says, don't be like, if they don't want it, don't make them, you know, just be there, you know? And we read that and I remember I was shared and I was like, I'm so glad that we have a book that tells us precisely how to interact with people who don't know what we have here. Because if you just do it right out of here, this is like the most beautiful guidebook possible, you know, blah, blah, blah. And the next guy shared, he goes, that's bullshit. He's like, if you don't do what I say, like I had to be told what to do. And if you don't do what I say, then I won't sponsor you. And I just thought, you've missed the point entirely. Our job is to help people. I don't care if you stop doing your fifth step. I don't care. Because I'm not you and I don't have to live in your head. It's not your recovery is your journey to have for you. Whatever side road you're taking or whatever you're doing is beautiful for you. I needed every drink I ever took to get to where I got. I needed to work with the people that I worked with to get where I got. There's no wrong way. Right. There's only the long way, you know? And the fact of the matter is, you know, like, I work with people because that's what I've been told will help keep me sober. So when someone says, I won't sponsor you if you have a girlfriend in your first year, it's like, oh, well, then you haven't read the big book, have you? You're demanding someone behave in a way that's appropriate that you think is appropriate. That's control. You do what I say to do. And then that proves to me that you're willing. That's fucking horseshit.
And you didn't do that to me. We were actually talking about my sex inventory. And he's like, well, let me give you a few suggestions. And his suggestions were really so mind-blowing to me. Like I've never heard things like this in my life that I was like, oh! I had to go to drastic terms. And he just simply suggested it. And I heard it as if like, holy shit, my whole life has to change right now. Like literally, I broke down, cried. You know the rest of that story. But you didn't say, this is what you have to do. Because I might have taken it completely different and been like, go fuck yourself, dude.
It's not your life is not mine to live. And I cannot direct you. I can hardly take care of myself. Right. If I'm going to direct your life in some kind of way and demand that you behave as I see fit. Tell this story. I had a person that I was sponsoring that was seeing, a woman who had been basically a sex worker. And he had 6 months sober. And he's like, hey man, I met this girl and this is what she does and this is what's going on. And I was like, cool. I was like, knock yourself out. I said, as long as you're not lying to yourself and to her. And if you don't know if you're lying, ask me or run it by someone you trust, you know, as long as you're not being like hurtful to each other or yourself or your recovery. I was like, don't make her your higher power, blah, blah, blah. Like here's some ideas that like, don't sleep with someone that goes to your home group. There's an idea. Like, don't fuck whoever you want. Don't do, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you know, and
Don't
like,
bring sand to the beach.
yeah, exactly. And you know, cause like, what if you break up and then one of you has to leave your home group? And so I said to him, I was like, man, but she wasn't even sober. She wasn't even a sober person. And he's like, but she drank. And I was like, is she an alcoholic? He's like, no, she smokes a little weed. I was like, great, or whatever, you know, he said. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and they've been married for like 7 years.
Wow.
And it's like, who the fuck am I to tell you I know any number of people who'd have been like, you got 6 months sober. You shouldn't be dating anyone in your first year, let alone a woman who has sex for money. Blah, blah, blah. All I did was say, look, if you keep the boots she bought you, you know what that says to her? That you can be bought and that she gets to fuck whoever she wants as long as she buys you something nice. So maybe bring the boots back. And he did. Yeah. He did. He took the boots back. They've been married. She's like a mother to his son. Like, you know, and that's not look, more often than not, people crash and burn. You know what I mean? The numbers are not in favor of that story. So maybe don't see someone in your home group or whatever, like those kinds of things. But like, man, I can't tell you what to do. That's ridiculous. All I can do is show up to help. And if you call me tomorrow and say, Charles, I want to pick up where we left off, I'll meet you tomorrow. Like for me to not show up because I don't think you're serious means I'm unwilling to help you. It doesn't mean you're unwilling to get sober. It means I'm unwilling to help. It's the people who are like, you know, you do what you want to do, but I'll tell you, this is what happened to me. I tell people, like, the only thing I tell people to not lose their hustle, because there's not everybody in AA has your best interest at heart. There are people here who are going to maybe hurt you if you don't be careful.
Right. When you say don't lose your hustle,
like the thing that kept you able to use, right? Mm-hmm. Hide it from my husband. I hide it from my kids. I hide it from my boss. I know who to call when I get to Cincinnati if I want to get high. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like the things that when you walk into a party, you know who's got drugs, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. That's your hustle. That is your hustle. The thing that keeps you in the game is your hustle. Don't lose that when you get sober, because there are people that AA is full of very sick people. And we don't all get well at the same time.
You taught me that. Thank you.
You know? And so you have to sort of be on the lookout. You have to be you cannot just assume that because people are sober, even sober a long time, are like good people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's just life.
Yes.
Whether you're in the program or out of the program. Right. It's who you are as an individual.
Right. AA is not some like hotbed of mental health. It's where the sickest people, the sickest of the sick end up there. And I get it. There are some people who need a little structure, need to be told a little bit. I get it. I totally get that. That's not what I'm talking about. But the other thing is the thing I was going to say, I don't want to lose that, is that, one of the things that I really sort of do tell people is that, like, if anyone, like, only hang out with people who tell you what they did. When people tell you what to do, run screaming. Yes. You know,
my kids, I'm like, if I tell them what to do, that's not going to do. That's not going to work.
Right. Good luck.
But if they see what I do,
right,
and they're seeing what I do,
which is what, which is which tradition?
I can't answer that.
All right, come on.
Attraction rather than promotion.
Oh yes, attraction rather than promotion.
It's like,
right.
if you're attracted to what I assume that you had me on the podcast because you think I have something to offer people. I didn't say, hey man, you should really have me on your podcast because I know what the fuck I'm doing.
No, you didn't.
Right? Like that's the whole game.
Attraction rather than promotion.
Yeah. So like stick with, and that's what I tell people when they're new and they ask me. There's no rules here. Don't lose your hustle and stay away from people who tell you what to do. Hang around with people who tell you what they did.
So sometimes on my Instagram, I get a lot of people who ask before they even get to the room, before you even can tell the newcomer in the room, what do I do? What would you say to someone who's just like, I need help and I don't know what to do?
I'd say, I can only tell you what I did. And that was go to AA.
There you go.
That's all I can do is tell you what worked for me.
Yeah.
And I tell people, like,
Yeah.
I've only ever seen it work. I worked in a recovery home for a period of time when I moved back to New York in the middle of this last 16 years. I moved back to New York for about 3 years, and I worked because I couldn't support myself as just a musician there because things are so fucking outrageous there. But a buddy of mine had opened up, a sober friend of mine had opened up a really high end sober living, and I was the house manager there. And, you know, we were really strict about like not mixing our program with our work. I have never been to a moderation. I've never been to another program but AA. I've seen several, maybe not a lot. I've seen several people try those other programs, and I have not seen any progress by any of them. Now, that doesn't mean that those programs aren't successful. Maybe if you got a beef with AA specifically, try something else. Try something else. I don't want you to have to go to AA for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? I tell people that because I'm not vocal about AA on my social media because I don't want to give AA a bad name. If I relapse somehow, if I fucking shit the bed and I relapse, people know I'm in AA. They're going to be like, oh, that shit doesn't work. I don't say anything about the brand of recovery, but I'm vocal about the fact that I am sober for a number of years. And I will always, usually on my birthday, I will say something about my year. And I will always say, like, you know, and if you're out there and you're struggling and you need help, there's a way out and I can help you. There's nothing, you know, you just reach out. And so people do, you know, especially in my business, you know. And when they ask me, they're always shocked that I would say, you got to stop drinking, which always makes me laugh. That like, they think that like there's a different way. I'm just like, I don't know. But you know, I say to people, like, I hope you're not an alcoholic. I hope you don't have to do what I did and go to AA for the rest of your days. Because like, as much as I love it and as much as I'm there, like, I'd rather not.
Right.
I'd rather just fucking be okay. And like, you know, that'd be way better. But it's not.
Nope.
The reality is that I need this program and I need it several times a week.
Ditto.
So I try to get them on the horn so I can talk to them, so I can let them kind of unleash a little bit and make me say me too. Oh my God, I used to do that too. And you know what I do now? This. And then they go, oh, you mean I don't have to do this. I can do that. How do I do that? That's why when I share from the podium or tell my story, I talk about, I'm not one of those people who's like, we all know how to drink. It's like, wait a minute, but I don't know how you drank. And until I know that you are the real thing, I don't know if I can trust anything you say. But if you tell me that story, that makes me go, oh, he's like me. You know, it's like Woodstock, right? I was there, man. You want people to go, oh, I was there. Because then, you know, you're like, oh, we're the same. But yet you're so over there now. How did you go from where I am now to there? And you say, well, I put this pen to this paper. You know, I made this decision. I did this thing. I came to believe. I admitted. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, I just have to do a couple things. And then the universe starts to unveil itself to you. And then you see there's a new way to live. And then you experience a new way to live. And then a team of fucking wild horses couldn't get me to drink again because I continue to do 10, 11, and 12 and 10, 11, and 12 and 10. I keep my house clean. And you know what I mean? I sort of meditate and pray in a non-traditional way that works for me. And I carry the message and I practice the principles in all my affairs. I don't act differently here than I do there. You know, the principles the things I have learned through the steps apply in my life to all things. I'm not always successful. And this is what I wanted to say this too. I don't know if this may be a non sequitur, but it tracks with something I was saying earlier about what I tell people about AA. AA works 100% of the time. 100%. It's the people that fail at it. And that's okay. I failed at it. I've also succeeded at it. But the program itself is infallible. It's never not worked if you have done the work. Never. It's like going to the gym works 100% of the time if you lift the weights. You know what I mean? You can't go and lift the weights and it doesn't work. It's never happened. You know what I mean? You do it and you do it right. You say, oh, hey, coach, can you show me the right way to lift this weight? And you do the thing that the coach who knows how to do it, they say, this is how you do it. Boom, 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 boom. And then your muscles get bigger. It's never not happened. Ever in the history of working out. It's never not happened. AA is exactly the same. If you go and you do it the right way, you know, then there's no way that it won't work. But what happens is people go, oh, McDonald's looks better than the fucking gym today. And they, you know what I mean? And you get away from it and then you're fat and you don't know why. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, I'm drunk and I don't know why. It's because I stopped doing the things that were working, you know?
So let's keep doing the things that are working.
Yeah,
Works if you
that's
work it.
right.
It works if you work it.
Yeah.
Charles, you are truly just thank you. I mean, you literally just mic drop in the last 3 minutes. Seriously. You like brought the program, ching, ding, 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 ding. The lights went off.
Well, I'm, you know,
thank you.
Not to give me a podium, but the reality is like everything I just said is really in the book already.
Yeah.
I didn't come up with any of that.
You're not that genius?
None of that's mine.
Come on. That was boom.
No, none of it belongs to me.
Boom.
None of it belongs to me. You know.
Well, you are a good member because you definitely share what that book has. And I'm grateful.
I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. It really does. It means a lot to know that it seems to translate, you know, it's translating into like the kind of person I am.
Yeah.
Because this is what I wanted and I couldn't do it. And now I can.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope these stories have touched your hearts and left you with a newfound appreciation for the incredible strength within us all.
And if you found our podcast to be a source of inspiration, we'd be extremely grateful if you could take a moment to rate and review us.
Yes, review us.
Your support helps us reach more people on the path to recovery.
And while you're at it, hit that follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Remember, you're not alone. One day at a time, we got this.